everyone. This is my watch list for Tuesday, May 5th. Alright, so what happened yesterday? SPY opened up into supply and we immediately failed. There was a lot of news yesterday, as I mentioned in the pre-market. I said it was going to be news driven, and then what do you know? There were attacks on the UAE, there were missile attacks, drone attacks onto the petroleum plant, and the market sold off of that supply. Alright. So I caught a nice open trade on SPY, and then my really nice trade was on QQQ at this failure of the previous session high. So failure of 676, we got in on this candle at 11 a.m. and it dumped all the way to 669 from 676. Contracts exploded, all right? So that was a really nice trade. And what's happening today? Let's start with SPY. SPY is gapping up a bit, all right? It's gapping up 0.27%. But it's still below the previous session high, all right? So this will be my bias for today. Do we get above 722? Then we can look for longs back into 725, all right? If we fail 722, we can look for shorts again. Or if we get below 716. So 716, remember I mentioned this yesterday? This was my demand. So we bounced off of demand yesterday. We rejected supply and we bounced off of demand, okay? So 716, if we get below that demand, then we can look for shorts, all right? If we pop and fade 722, we can look for shorts. If we get above 722, we can look for longs, all right? Those are basically the different ways that we could trade SPY today, okay? QQQ is gapping up almost 0.5%, all right? And it's back to, it's retesting all-time highs again, all right? So I sold my swing yesterday in the challenge account, somewhere down here, because I was thinking, what are the chances we gap up again, right? And this market, it's like a 90% chance, right? There's so much euphoria, and market's waiting for something, right? Market's waiting for something big, and then maybe we can actually make a move and capitulate, okay? But so far, we are gapping up again on the Qs. Now, I want to show you guys something. NQ, 28,000. We're almost there, okay? We saw 27,950 in the pre-market, right? We're almost there. That's going to line up with about 678 on QQQ, right? So if we see 678 today, that's where I'll actually look for rejections, right? If we start showing failures at 678, that NQ 28,000 level, I'll look for failures there. Another thing that we can watch is just the same thing as yesterday, right? 676, do we open weak and stay below 676? Can look for shorts. If it's holding, like I said, I won't be looking for longs on the Qs because we have that supply at 678, right? And that supply, a lot of people probably won't even know about because it's an NQ level. It's not even a QQQ level, okay? So, we're gapping up right back into supply. What happens? I don't know. Let's see what happens, right? But we're in supply, so I'm not looking to take longs on the Qs, okay? Now let's look at some individual names. Oh, and demand, what did I say demand was yesterday on the Qs? 669 to 670. That's exactly where we bounced off of, right? 670, 669. That was low of day on the session. So we still have yet to capitulate these big demands. Once we do break down, then that's when the market can sell. But every time that we have a big sell hourly candle like this and the market holds, well, this is why I just sold my put yesterday in the challenge account, and now we're gapping up again, all right? Because as long as we're holding these demands, we're not going to capitulate, okay? All right, so Apple 276 level, it held it a bit yesterday. This chart does not look strong to me though, all right? If we get back below, I'll say yesterday's low. If we get back below 275, this is a short for me on Apple, all right? We bounced a little bit, right? But if we look at this hourly candle, right? This hourly candle, very red, inverted basically the entire earnings move. So if we get below 275, the previous session low, I actually like shorts on Apple back into like 268. There's a potential big move if we get below 275, all right? That's something I'm watching today. AMD has earnings after hours. I'm not watching anything on AMD. Amazon, one of the strongest names in the market, closed up green 1.4% yesterday. It is at all-time highs though. I mentioned the 266 level. One level I would watch is 276 now, right? That was yesterday's high. That's kind of the earnings high back from over here. So if we get above 276, this has room into 280, right? At this point, it's just all-time high. So it's in price discovery. You don't really know where it's going to fail. But if I say if it gets above 276, it goes to 280, okay? So that's something we can watch. Google, Meta, let me see. Yeah, Meta is below 600, something I mentioned. If Meta gets below 600, it has room into 580. Not watching Microsoft. Netflix, we're back at demand. Remember I said 91 to 90 is demand, that entire zone. If you look at the 4 hour, you see this is big. 91 to 90 is big demand. So if we're above, this can turn into a long. If we get below 90, it's going to fill that gap into 86.50. All right. Nvidia, I was actually watching a breakdown on this yesterday, but the market held demand. Right? If we get back below 196 is my level. Okay. Now we may have to adjust that to 195, which was the low yesterday. But if we get below 195, I just don't have anything really on Nvidia. If we get below 195, it has room into 190. Right? It's like a $5 move. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but if it does, then that's what I'm watching on Nvidia. Okay. Palantir reported earnings after hours yesterday. They crushed earnings, right? EPS crush, revenue crush, and Alex Karp came out and said, "I'm going to double my revenue next year, 100% growth." Right? Stock's down 3%. Why? I've mentioned this so many times. It's already priced in. It's an overvalued stock already, right? So who cares, right? Who cares? Oh, you're gonna double your growth. Good, you should be tripling your growth with the valuation that the stock is trading at, right? That's why the stock's down 3%, okay? No, I'm not saying this is a good long-term buy if you get in at the right price, right? So we will eventually get that good long-term entry price. Let's just wait for it and we'll get it, okay? All right, and then Tesla, it bounced a little early, right? I was watching the 383 level. It wound up bouncing at like 385. Yeah, it bounced at 385 yesterday. But still, I mean, this is a bullish chart, right? As long as it holds 383, this is a bullish chart. And we may actually get that 400 break this week. If this is one of the strongest names in the market as well. This and Amazon have been very strong, while everything else is pretty weak. So if Tesla can break above this high from Friday, right, 398, then we likely get that 400 gamma squeeze and we'll break above that 400 level, okay? All right, so those are a few different things I'm watching today. Let's see what happens. Going to be an interesting session as we're approaching that big NQ area. I want to see what happens at this NQ 28,000. All right, let's have a good Tuesday, and I'll see you guys on live.